Even give you a free View mug. Not to be confused, though, with a mugshot. Because that's your area.
It began like any other segment. Bright studio lights, a spirited roundtable, and Sunny Hostin, known for her sharp analysis and unapologetic honesty, ready to deliver another truth bomb. But no one, not even the audience, expected what happened next. In a moment that immediately trended across social media and sent shockwaves through political and entertainment spheres, Sunny turned her focus toward Melania Trump and tore open the carefully protected illusion of the former first couple. What followed wasn't rumor or speculation. It was a carefully
Interesting thing is, I have seen him and he has seen me, so we have met because I covered his trial. But you know what? Isn't it such an enjoyable thing to live rent-free in his head?
Yeah.
I mean, we live rent-free in this man's head.
Detailed unpacking of what many had whispered about behind closed doors. The tension between Melania and Donald, the distant body language, the icy glares, the now infamous moments on camera, Melania swatting away Donald's hand, walking away during public appearances, looking visibly disconnected from the political circus that surrounded them. But Sunny went further. She connected the dots publicly, fearlessly.
He hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all agree on that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want anything to do with him. She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Allegedly.
And she does.
Yeah, how do you know all this?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know all this.
She discussed how, according to insiders and credible reporting, Melania had renegotiated her prenup not once but twice. Once during the 2016 campaign, and again just before Trump left office. Each time, she timed her leverage perfectly. She knew when Trump was most desperate for a public image of stability and family unity, and she used it. Sunny's message was clear. Melania wasn't simply a silent bystander. She was playing her own game behind the scenes. And that quiet strategy unraveled the idea that Donald Trump was in full control of his personal life. The studio audience fell silent. There were no interruptions, no rebuttals, no attempts to soften the blow. This wasn't an attack, it was exposure. With clinical precision, Hostin peeled back the curtain on one of the most carefully staged political relationships in modern American history. And what happened next? Trump, watching from afar according to sources familiar with his habits, completely lost it. Staff members reportedly heard yelling behind closed doors at Mar-a-Lago, phones slammed, rants hurled at aides, and, in typical Trump fashion, he took to his favorite battleground, social media. But this time, his posts weren't just about fake news or disloyal talk show hosts. They were defensive, erratic, and deeply personal.
He's just this crybaby with this complex of victimhood, right? Here he is, this billionaire, supposedly, this, that. All he does is bitch and moan and complain and whine and nag. Dude!
He's a very small man. He's a very small man.
Well, fortunately, I don't know how small he is, but I know he's not big enough to be president.
He called Sunny Hostin a third-rate nobody, accused her of lying, and even hinted at legal action, a laughable threat considering the public nature of the evidence she referenced. For all of Trump's bluster, the damage was already done. The public was talking, the headlines were rolling, and most importantly, Melania was silent. That silence, Sunny pointed out in a follow-up interview, spoke volumes. Because if the accusations were false, Melania could have denied them. She could have issued a statement. Instead, she did what she always does. When the truth gets too loud, she disappeared from view. No public comments, no clarifications, no defenses. Just absence. What made Sunny's remarks land so powerfully.
These countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir. And then I'll see some rebel Republican, you know, some guy that wants to grandstand, say, I think that Congress should take over negotiations. Let me tell you, you don't negotiate like I negotiate.
Donald Trump, I want to thank you for personally telling so many lies and committing so many alleged crimes and providing us with material on a daily basis. You help us do our jobs, and I'm so appreciative.
Was that she didn't just focus on Melania as a former first lady. She talked about Melania as a symbol of complicity, calculation, and silence. Of someone who watched a presidency full of cruelty and chaos, unfold and chose to stay. Not out of love, not out of duty, but because the contract still benefited her. She highlighted how Melania, despite her polished image and Be Best campaign, never once
I think he knows what he's doing. He bankrupted. What we keep on failing to remember is that he bankrupted 2 casinos. He had 6 bankruptcies. He's just not a good business person. He doesn't understand economics. His professor at Wharton Business School basically said he was the dumbest student he'd ever had in his career. These are just facts. So Trump definitely doesn't understand economics. He's listening to someone who you say doesn't understand economics. And so there is no end plan. There is no game plan. He doesn't know how to negotiate. He couldn't negotiate himself out of a paper bag.
Condemned the family. Separations at the border, never spoke out about the racism, the misogyny, or the corruption that engulfed her husband's administration. And yet, she was always there when it suited her. Sunny described this as strategic loyalty. Loyalty not to Trump the man, but to Trump the brand. And when the brand began to crumble after January 6th, after the lawsuits, after the indictments, Melania retreated even further into the shadows. That, Hostin said, was no coincidence. It was survival. The reaction from conservative media was immediate and furious. They accused Sunny of attacking another woman. They called it elitist gossip.
There was an act called the Great Depression, rather. There was an act that was called the...
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the... Anyone? The Great Depression, passed the... Anyone? The tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which anyone raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. It did not work, and the United States sank deeper into the Great Depression.
Trump hasn't seen, Ferris Bueller to understand that past will become prologue, and really
But they ignored one thing, every claim she made was backed by on-record reporting, legal documents, or public footage. This wasn't gossip. It was journalism with teeth. Trump allies tried to spin it. Some said Melania was simply a private person. Others claimed she was protecting her son, but none of them could answer why. If the marriage was solid, she had needed to renegotiate her legal protections twice. Meanwhile, the public response was overwhelming. Clips of Sunny's takedown were viewed millions of times. Hashtags like #FreeMelanian and #TrumpMarriage trended for days. Commentators praised Hostin for saying what so many had been afraid to. She didn't just challenge Trump, she dismantled a myth. Political experts weighed in, saying this kind of exposure matters more than people realize. Because Trump's strength isn't just in his base, it's in the illusion of dominance, of control, of having the perfect life. And once that illusion is broken, the foundation starts to crack. What made this moment stand out was that it wasn't just about politics, it was about truth, about peeling away the layers of power and performance to expose the real dynamics underneath. And Sunny did it not with malice but with facts. As one former White House correspondent put it, Sunny Hostin just said what half of Washington has known for years but never dared say out loud. And in doing so, she may have sparked the kind of conversation Trump fears most. Not about his policies, not about his scandals, but about his deepest insecurity, that behind the wealth, the fame, the gold-plated lifestyle, he is, ultimately, alone. Because when Melania negotiated her escape route, Swissits sent a clear message. She never fully trusted the empire he built. And now, thanks to Sunny Hostin, the world knows it too. What truly rattled Trump after Sunny Hostin's segment wasn't just the exposure it was the method. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't hurl insults. She simply laid out facts like puzzle pieces and let the viewers see the full picture.
Puppy's point at the very beginning, meaning that clip that we played, that he's saying, everybody's kissing my butt. They're actually not, because China has accused the United States of blackmail and declared that Beijing would fight to the end. The Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has said its friendship with the U.S. is over. Australia's Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, said Trump's tariffs have no basis in logic, are not the act of a friend, and he called them totally unwarranted. Macron from France, he said the tariffs are brutal and unfounded.
Themselves. That kind of calm, deliberate takedown cut deeper than any late-night comedian's jab. It told the truth without theatrics and made it impossible to ignore. Sunny reminded the world of the infamous 2018 Christmas interview. When Melania was asked what she wanted most, her answer, peace on all sides. The vague response was widely mocked at the time, but now, in hindsight, it feels like a coded message, a quiet cry from someone trapped in a transactional life.
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, no country can count on America anymore. They're going to ice us out economically. We're going to be on our own because they're not going to be able to depend on a country that every 4 years could elect a dictator. They can't rely upon us.
Surrounded by chaos she couldn't control, Hostin emphasized Melania's deliberate absence from key political flashpoints. No comments after Charlottesville, no appearance after the Capitol riot, no visible support during Trump's countless court cases, and yet she never left. That's what unsettled people. If she despised the spotlight so much, why stay? Some insiders claimed Melania had her own agenda, that she—
his lying is monumental, as we all know. And even people who are Trump supporters, watch this. Just watch this. This is good.
I have a hard time doing it to them because I'm basically a truthful person. But frankly,
Basically, and I am a natural redhead who's 29 years old. Okay? I mean, the jokes just come so easily.
Was waiting out the storm, securing her post-White House life while preserving just enough loyalty to protect her financial future. Sunny cited former aides who described Melania's post-2020 behavior as cold, calculated, and distant. The hand-holding stopped. The smiles became rarer. Even Trump's own allies whispered that their relationship felt like a business partnership more than a marriage. And then came the comparison to other First Ladies Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, even Laura Bush, all of whom, despite political differences, actively engaged in national issues. Melania, she chose a solitary campaign against bullying, while Mary—
We need to look at intent. Why attack the Department of Education? Because if you have an entire country of people that are not educated well, you create a permanent working underclass who can't really make a lot of money because they're not trained to critically think, they're not trained to write well, they're not trained in math. And so I think there's a master plan here, and it's really stressing me out.
Wait to the country's most notorious cyber— The irony was never lost on Hostin, nor the American people. Sunny pointed out how Melania's refusal to participate in key efforts. Lady Traditions was not merely privacy, it was detachment. She skipped the traditional walk through the White House. With Jill Biden, she avoided speaking at Trump's—
Devastated by it because it's just a continuation of the erasure of American history. Of course, I take it a little personally because one of my closest friends is Alicia Garza, who wrote the letter that started the Black Lives Matter movement, and she is one of our thought leaders of our generation. And so I'm saddened by it, but let's be clear, this was extortion. Take it down or lose federal funding.
Final rally. Her body language, as analyzed by countless experts, spoke louder than her few public words. Trump's furious online response only confirmed how threatened he felt. He blasted Hostin for attacking women, despite his long history of doing just that. He called her angry and jealous, a transparent attempt to delegitimize a successful black woman speaking truth to power. But the damage was already done. The video had gone viral. The story had broken past the echo chamber. Sunny wasn't backing down either. The next day, she doubled down in a podcast interview, stating plainly, "I don't think Melania loves Donald. I think she tolerates him. And when the checks stop, the silence will end." That quote became a headline in itself, shared by journalists, late-night hosts, even former administration officials who offered no counter-argument. Even more damning were the reports that began surfacing in the days after. An anonymous former Trump aide revealed that Melania spent nearly 3 months living separately from—
The First Amendment is the First Amendment for a reason, and that's freedom of the press. And because I think our forefathers really understood, if you look at the history and you look at some of what was taking place on the floor when they were drafting these amendments, and wonky lawyers like me do things like that, they made it clear that a free press was most important to a democracy. And without a free press, without the Fourth Estate, you don't have a true democracy.
Donald in the months following his indictment in the classified documents case. Allegedly, she moved into her mother's Florida condo with Barron, while Trump raged and obsessed over his mounting legal problems. This was never confirmed publicly, but insiders said the timeline matched Trump's most erratic and paranoid public appearances. Sunny also touched on Melania's now quiet presence at Trump's 2024 campaign.
And so that change that the White House made in breaking with, over a century of precedent is just unheard of. And it really sounds the alarm for someone like me who studied journalism in college, right? It really, it scares me a bit.
Campaign events or lack thereof. Unlike the 2016 run, where she appeared periodically, and the 2020 campaign, where she gave a few scripted speeches, Melania has been almost entirely absent from this new presidential bid. No appearances, no statements, just silence. For Trump, this silence is deafening. It robs him of one of his favorite images, the perfect family man, surrounded by gold, loyalty, and legacy. And it raises a deeper, more personal fear that even his wife doesn't believe he can win again. Sunny exposed that crack in the armor. She peeled back the glitzy image and revealed
the difference between himself and a character like Trump is that he would surround himself with people that knew their positions and knew more than he knows, and then he would learn from them. So the fact that he said he was unqualified doesn't seem to mean to him in his mind that he still can't be president, which I think is a scary proposition because, you know, not only has Trump emboldened people to run for the highest office of the land, he's actually surrounded himself with incompetency. So that is scary to me. And people that are loyal, that will just do whatever he says and go along with the program.
the truth Trump's world is held together by NDA's optics and fear, not love, not loyalty, not unity. The audience response wasn't just online, it showed up in polls. A flash survey taken by a major outlet revealed that nearly 60% of Americans believe the Trump marriage was more about image than intimacy, and the number jumped even higher among independent voters, with many
that he has taken a sledgehammer to government. People are actually feeling the real life effects of it. People are losing their jobs. They're losing their homes. They're going to probably lose their Social Security. They're probably not going to be able to buy enough eggs to make an omelet. They're going to feel it. And when that happens, I can tell you that it is very complicated. The federal government is very complicated. Politics are very, very complicated. You need someone with not only good common sense, but experience and the merit that it takes to be the executive in chief.
Now, on the commercial break,
Sonny citing Hostin's remarks as confirmation of long-held suspicions. Sonny's commentary also re-energized conversations in legal and political circles about the power of first ladies, how much they shape, shield, or challenge the men beside them, and how Melania, by staying silent, arguably enabled some of Trump's most damaging behaviors. Was she a victim, a strategist, or both? That question now lingers in the public mind. And for Trump, it's the worst kind of question, the kind that creates doubt in his supporters.
And I'm profoundly disturbed that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution did not prevent someone who participated in an insurrection from becoming president of the United States. I think that going forward, the convicted felon box on employment applications better be taken off, because if you can be the president of the United States, then you should not be prevented from employment in this country. Because I remember applying for my jobs as a federal prosecutor, and there was a box for convicted felons. And so that box better be taken off.
Doubt in the media, doubt in the very image he spent decades trying to project. Because if Melania doesn't believe in him, why should anyone else? Back in studio, Sonny ended her segment with a final line that's now being quoted across blogs, headlines, and forums. Melania Trump's silence isn't strength, it's strategy. And one day, when the storm passes and the checks clear, will speak, and when she does, we won't be shocked. Because the truth was always hiding in plain sight. Those words echoed like a warning, not just to Trump, but to anyone who believed power could hide behind veneers of wealth, beauty, and silence. Sonny Hostin tore through that illusion. And in doing so, she didn't just expose Melania's marriage, she exposed the hollow empire it helped protect.